Hi guys, it's Dylan here, just coming to you with a quick Pixinsight tutorial, a bit of a primer, a bit of a really quick overview, because it's a bit of a spaceship kind of software. You get in there and the dashboard is just massive and unwieldy and you don't really know where to start. So I'm going to give you a quick overview and I'm going to work on this stack of images. I've already stacked them, so I'm not going to go through the image calibration stuff. We'll just jump straight into Pixinsight itself. So I'll give you a quick overview of Pixinsight. It was written by mostly Spanish developers. The emphasis is on non-destructive, non-manipulative image enhancement for documentary style photography of space. It's not really about photoshopping the hell out of something. It's about really touching up the image to bring out the natural elements, the natural image that we see of space. It has a high level of control, and the processing algorithms are really excellent. It's one of the reasons I jumped to Pixinsight and never looked back, because I really don't like the user interface very much. It's quite daunting. It's quite fiddly, and I get where they're going, but it's kind of weird. It would be cool if they had like a UX guy that was just on top of that, but it just feels a bit funny to me. Currently costs about €230, which works out to about 350 Australian or 260 USD with today's exchange rates. It's got lots and lots of tools. It's a massive program, but you don't have to know all of it. You don't have to know all of this in here, and a few of the things that I use are highlighted in here, and that's probably way more than you need to know to just get an image looking okay. A quick chat about the interface though. It's not okay. What I mean is, normally in a program, the standard convention is you want to do something, you bring up the tool to do it, and then you hit OK and it does it. But because of the way this is programmed, the tools are like instances. These dialogues are programming instances with a set of values which can be saved and reused. So you can have the instance sitting there open and then drag it onto one image, then drag it onto another image. So we end up with these little tools down here. The triangle, which is where you drag the settings that you have in this dialog onto the image that you're working, or the square, which means just do it. It's sort of like OK, but that's usually for when you have certain tools just want to do something to a set of images, like calibration or something like that, and that's the do button. This little circle is a preview, so sometimes tools will give you a preview so you can tweak the settings and see. But I'll show you how it works as we go. I just wanted to let you know, because beginners get into this and they see these icons, they see these icons, and it's not really clear which ones are important. But it's actually probably the triangle is the most important, because that's the one you use to drag the settings onto your image. Yeah, and there's this process log. You'll see this later. The process log comes out and it just gives a massive amount of detail, which you don't need, but kind of makes you feel cool, because the code just whips across like the Matrix, and it's very detailed and quite amazing. So here is a stack. I've calibrated these images, so I've applied darks and whatnot, and stacked the image. And if you're a CCD user, then you're probably familiar. The images that you get are quite dark, and you have to stretch them before you see anything. Now we use the screen transfer function for this. It's a long way of saying stretching. It stretches the histogram. We've got the RGB channels here and the luminance channel, and you can find it just here, the screen transfer function under Process Explorer. But everything is always also in this process menu as well. So if you know where it is, you can go through and find it from there. But in this case, we're just going to hit this, and we're going to use its little nuke button here, which is the auto stretch. And this does a really great job. It really does. You can tweak it if you want to, but once you hit it, it just stretches really nicely and brings out all that detail that was hidden visually. As you can see, this image needs a bit of work, so let's see what we can do. The first thing I'm going to do, this really doesn't matter, you can do this at any time, but I'm going to flip it because it's not the right orientation. So we just use the geometry menu there for that. Come on. There we go. And obviously it's a bit green. The colors aren't quite right. So I'm going to go into color calibration. I'm going to open up background neutralization, and I'm going to go back to color calibration and open up color calibration as well. Now this is only for an RGB image, so if you're working with a DSLR or a color camera, this is when you would use this sort of stuff. A lot of people do narrowband or mono imaging, so they're working with black and white images, and you can skip this completely. You don't obviously need this. Now I'm going to open up a third one, which is SCNR, and I find that between these three, they get the image looking natural. Its color just becomes natural. Okay, so here's our image and our three color tools, and it's best to do them in a particular order. Start with background neutralization, then color calibration, and then SCNR. So background neutralization will basically analyze the dark areas and try and neutralize the RGB channels. And to apply it, we just drag this triangle from the corner, which will take the settings from here and apply it to the image. Console pops out. It's looking much better now. It's removed a bit of that cast. You can see the dark areas are looking more like greys now. Now we're going to color calibration, same thing. I'm just going to drag the triangle on to apply the settings, and you'll notice I'm leaving these tools at default settings because they work really well at the default settings, especially with color calibration stuff. It just makes everything quite neutral and balanced. You can tweak them up later in Photoshop or whatever if you need to, the colors I mean, but to get a nice benchmark here, to start a nice starting point, we'll apply these three. So I've applied the first two, and it's starting to look like a regular space photo now, right? SCNR will get rid of this slight green cast in the middle. It looks like a green cloud running over the whole image. SCNR you can think of as like a green noise removal. So I'm dragging that one on from the corner triangle onto the image. And that is looking pretty good. This is pretty good data. It's from a color camera, which is very convenient. Obviously, you don't need to do any of these color calibration things with mono images. But one thing that is my next step when I'm doing a space photo is star reduction. Now you'll see that the stars are quite overwhelming. Now I shot this with Hyperstar. It depends on your exposure length, but the longer the exposure length, or the more sensitive your equipment is to light, the bigger these stars can really bloat out, and it's great. We've got a lot of detail in there, but it kind of removes the impact of the nebulas which are sitting behind here, and we really want to draw that out. So here's the next little thing you need to learn about Pixinsight. It is this preview tool. This little button up here, you can see that up here, allows us to just take a slice so we can try things without damaging the image or destructively changing the image. I'll open up the preview. Creates this little tab here. So I'm taking this section which I want to play with, and I'm going to the preview tab. Now we can just work on this. That allows you to speed up the time as you try things, and it doesn't damage the original image. What we're going to try and do now is a star mask. So I'm going to go to star mask, and I'm going to use these settings, aggregate and binarize. I'm going to turn this down to 111, and I'm going to push my noise threshold up to about 1500. Now another weird little thing about Pixinsight is sometimes you get pre-processing or local support areas that want the shadows and midtones values. Now that comes from the stretch that we did before. So this stretch is only for what we can see on the screen. It hasn't actually damaged the image, and I can turn the stretch off at any time by hitting this button down here. It goes back to the way it was. So we haven't actually applied the stretch yet, it's just doing it so that we can see what we're doing. Now if I go down to the little spanner down here, we can get the shadow and mid-tone values. And it's weird, you know, this is what I'm talking about with the user interface. None of this is labeled. This doesn't say shadows until you hover over it with the tooltip, so it's hard to know. But I found that this is really kind of essential to know as you work your way through Pixinsight, because a lot of tools will want these values, and you've got to pull them from here. So we're going to copy out the shadows value, and you know, again, oddly, we have to close this window to actually get back over here, paste it in. I'm going to go back to the spanner, get the midtones value here, OK, and put it in midtones here. Now we're going to take these settings and apply it to this image, which will generate a mask, which is a black and white or a monochrome mask, which we're trying to protect some areas. Because remember, we're trying to get to the star reduction step here. There we go, it's generated a star mask. I'm not too happy with it because it looks like it's getting a lot of stuff other than just the stars. Now Pixinsight does have this cool thing where you can take one image, and as you hold it, it's transparent, so you can see what it's doing. You can see that all of those white spots correlate to stars, because we're trying to just get the stars, protect everything else so that we can apply our star reduction to only the stars. I mean, there's a lot of stars here and it's getting them all, but I think it's probably getting a bit of noise as well. So I'm going to just pull it back just a touch, or rather put the noise threshold up a touch and try it again. You can see it crunches away for quite a long time, which is why we're doing it on little preview. Because if we had to do it on the big image, we'd be waiting forever, and this allows us to just do these small little tweaks, see if it's working, and then try again. Okay, I'm going to hold this over my image, and that's looking pretty good. We've got a lot more of the background there protected. So I'll show you how this works. Masking is kind of essential to know in all programs, Photoshop or Pixinsight or whatever you use. Masking is really essential. So we're going to go back to our actual Lagoon stack here, and in my case it's Lagoon, it could be whatever for you. I'm going to drag these settings onto the full image, and this will generate a mask with all of those stars cut out and the dark areas protected. And then I'll show you how to apply that mask. And there we go. Looks pretty busy. All we have to do to apply the mask is click on it and drag it down here, which it doesn't seem intuitive at all either, does it? Like, if I hadn't have told you that, would you have figured that out? Now, if you go into mask, you can also do it this way. If this is the active window, we can go mask, select mask, and then we can drop that down as well. Either way will work. The shorthand is just pulling it down to here. There we go. That looks kind of weird, right? But essentially all the red areas are protected, so anything we do to the image now only affects what's popping through, which are the stars. A good way to see it is to invert it as well. So if we invert it, you can see it almost looks like a starless image. Some of those big ones aren't there. They haven't been captured by the star mask, but it's covered up all the other stars, leaving us with just the nebula areas. So we'll let this protect all those black areas and let us work on the stars only. But usually you don't want to look at that all the time, so you just turn off the show mask here. So the mask is still applied, we just don't see it, which is great. I'm going to go back to our preview, and I'm going to load up another tool, the Morphological transformation tool. which is a long way of saying star reduction. And I'm just going to go default values and drag it straight onto my preview. Remember with the preview it's non-destructive, so you can just try things out. In fact, if we change the settings and then drag it on again, it actually undoes the first one you did and then applies the new one. So you can just keep tweaking, dragging until you get something you like. So you'll see there I've if I reset this, stars looking quite bright, and then I drag it in and watch what happens. They dim significantly. That looks pretty good. You could get pretty heavy-handed with this and put up the iterations if you want and pull them down further and further. That looks pretty good. If you're too heavy-handed though, you can get ringing around the stars, which kind of looks a bit weird. So anyway, I'm happy with that now, so I'm going to take these settings and apply it to the main image. That looks much better. I'm going to stop the tutorial here. Before I do, I'll show you how to save this image, because remember it's not stretched yet. So we can't have an image that looks like that. So what we want to do is apply this this stretch to the image destructively so we can save it as a TIFF, and then you can open it up in Photoshop and do whatever you need to in there. So we use the histogram transformation tool for this. And this is a weirdly unintuitive step as well. We have to drag the triangle from the screen transfer function over to the histogram function, which, if you watch that changed, which is the only real way that you know that something happened. Then you've got to drag the triangle from here, from the histogram transformation tool, over onto the image. And when we do this, it applies that stretch. But remember, we've still got this preview stretch on as well, so it's actually going to be stretched twice. Once actually stretching the data, and oh, we've made a mistake. You'll see there I've left the mask on. So thankfully we can just undo that. Image undo. I'll turn that mask off and we'll do that again. Untick enable mask. Now it's off. Drag those settings from the histogram transformation tool onto the image. You see it looks ridiculous because it's got two stretches. We're going to turn off this preview, and that's what it looks like. It's actually been stretched. So now we can go save as, save that off as a TIFF, and then open it up in Photoshop and continue from there. Now there's a whole lot more I could have showed you in terms of the tools. Normally I would go through and then do I would invert that mask and then do TVG denoise to reduce the noise in the image. I would also do some deconvolution using a point spread function, and there's so much stuff you can do, and as you start learning the tools you develop a workflow. But if you just want to get an image out quickly, this is a really nice way to do it. Essentially what I've just done is opened it up, given it a preview stretch. I've then color calibrated the image. Then I've created a star mask for the star reduction, which I applied to the stars only. Then I turned that preview stretch into an actual stretch so that we can see everything, and now you can just save the image. So that's about it for this tutorial. I don't want to make them too long. I'll go into more detail about Pixinsight workflow and maybe drill down a bit further into just individual tools as well. But hopefully that's a good kind of beginner's intro to Pixinsight to show you how to just get up and running quickly and come to grips with this software. Okay, thanks guys. Bye-bye.